Hello and welcome back. It's time for another Kellerman vlog. This is where I discuss the murder mysteries written by author Jonathan Kellerman, and we talk about them. Things I like, things I don't like, things that bother me, questions that I have that are unanswered. Let's get into it. Today's book is The Wedding Guest. And these vlogs are intended for people who have read the books. In case you haven't, there might be some spoilers, and here's a brief synopsis. So, our main characters are psychologist Alex Delaware and LAP detective Milo Sturgis. They are called to the scene of a crime. The scene of a crime is at a wedding reception. Wedding reception is being held in a former strip club. And there is a young woman who is dead in one of the restrooms, who is not a guest of the wedding. No one knows her. No one knows how she got there. Everyone kind of assumes that she was possibly affiliated with it when it was a strip club. Spoiler alert, that turns out to be correct, but that's not a huge spoiler. And then the book is about solving her murder, which seems pretty straightforward, but some of the characters and some of the plot devices are definitely different than Kellerman has used in the past, which I like. So let's get into it. This is the first recent Kellerman book that I've read and gone, oh, this is really different than anything he's written so far or any other murder mystery I've read. I can't specifically place why. It's just a whole new story with new characters. It's darker than some of the other books, but I like it a lot. So, here are my notes. Alex notes that the rookie from 2 books ago, the end of, I believe, Heartbreak Hotel, left law enforcement. I have mixed feelings about that. She did seem trigger happy. Using Alicia's last name, I don't know if it's Alicia or Alicia, they're spelled the same way. Using Alicia's I'm probably going to use them interchangeably, to be honest. Using Alicia's last name seemed really cludgy. All the other team members were first name only. I get that Kellerman wanted to make it obvious that she was brought in from Heartbreak Hotel, but that could have been worked in a different way. It didn't have to be like, here's Sean, here's Moses, and here's Alicia Bogomil. Like, nobody else had a last name. I know it was supposed to be, oh, her, but if you just said Alicia, her last name would have come up somewhere else in the book, or we would have just figured it out. We're not stupid. Okay, once again, Milo's office is described as a punishment. I went into detail about this in, I think, the last vlog, maybe the vlog before it, so I'm not going to go into detail again about it now. Short version is, when Milo was given the office, it wasn't a punishment, but now in hindsight it is, and I don't like that. Don't rewrite history. I know you can, because you're the writer. I guess I'm talking to Kellerman or the editor. But don't do it. Okay. Why does he, in this case it's the veterinarian, keep using the word critters so much? I know some Midwestern farmers. I'm from Wisconsin, and I don't know anybody that says critters that much. So, yeah, that's not authentic, unless he's a person who really likes the word critters, and that has nothing to do with him being a farm veterinarian from Nebraska, I think is where he was from in the book. Why did Thurston advertise his ABD on his website? That seems like something you avoid mentioning, that you didn't finish your doctorate program. I love the phrase, a really professional nothing. It reminds me of Terry Pratchett. I feel like in the Night Watch books by Terry Pratchett. My other favorite author besides Kellerman, by the way, is Terry Pratchett. I haven't read Terry Pratchett in years, probably, because his books require more investment. Kellerman books are a fairly light read. I can read them while I'm in line at the bank, while I'm stuck in traffic and the car is not moving. I don't have to focus that much. They're interesting enough and intellectual enough that I don't feel cheap, but they're light enough that I can just read little bits here and there. Terry Pratchett's books tend to be a little bit more involved in digesting, and so I haven't read them in years, but I love them. In fact, if I had to pick a favorite author between the two, I'd probably pick Terry Pratchett. I think Kellerman's a really good writer. I think Terry Pratchett's a genius, which is, not saying anything less about Kellerman. There's just different types of gifts. Not everybody wants to be a genius. I'm not a genius, and I don't want to be. I want to be really good at the things that I do, but it's a lot harder to be a genius. And a lot fewer people will relate to you and your work if you're a genius. So that's not a shade to Kellerman. But in any case, there's some Night Watch books in the by Terry Pratchett in the Discworld series where they use a similar turn of phrase, and I love it. And I need to remember it so I can use it. A really professional nothing. Have we heard of Michelle Tesler before? I said that the next time I read through the books, which I've already started actually, I'm going to start making notes on like what characters are reoccurring and what's the timeline of the reoccurring characters and what's Alex's timeline with Robin and whoever else. And I'm gonna work on that my next read through. So I'm gonna make a note of that next read through if we find Michelle Tesler in another book, because a lot of times he'll mention these one-offs like, oh yeah, this is one of my former students, and I'm like, is that the same former student that you mentioned in the last book or a different one? Okay. Next up is The Museum of Desire, which despite having read multiple times, I'm still wrapping my head around. Part of that is that some of the things I discussed with Night Moves, where I just can't, the imagery isn't as clear as some of the other books. Part of it is that that's a tough book to wrap your head around. So we're going to talk about that next. Thanks for watching.